All right, so we're going to continue on with Unit 5, which is today's going to deal with learn targets 10 through 12, which is going to be arthropods. So we'll talk about the three different types of arthropods and what an arthropod is. And then we'll move in the second half of this presentation, which will deal with insects, which are part of the arthropod group. So arthropods literally means jointed feet. And these are jointed feet animals with a segmented body, an exoskeleton, and jointed appendages. So an exoskeleton is a tough outer layer composed of chitin. And it protects the animals and provides support for its body. And remember that chitin was a structural carbohydrate. If we go all the way back to Unit 2 or 3, macromolecules unit. Exo meaning outside of the body. So appendages are structures that are added to the main body and usually have a specific function. Most of the time, these functions either involve sensory, movement, sometimes feeding, sometimes it helps and aids in feeding, but these appendages have a specific job, a specific role. So arthropods are able to exploit almost any niche available. What that means is they adapt to whatever food source is there, and a lot of times they're not picky, so to speak. They'll eat anything that they can to survive. So with movement, some arthropods can fly, which means that they're going to have complementary muscles that are used to contract and expand appendages. So if it's wings, moving them up and down. If it's legs, to extend them out and bring them back in, much like we as humans can do. Long slide, so feel free to pause it and be sure to get all this down. So other essential functions of arthropods, respiration. Some arthropods have tubes in their exoskeletons that allows air to come in. Other arthropods have book lungs, which are lung tissue stacked like pages in a book. Their circulatory system is an open system. With excretion, they have special structures called Malpighian tubules, that excrete waste from the blood, and these tubules kind of act like a kidney, but they're not a true kidney. For the response system, they have a brain with well-developed nervous system. Some have compound eyes, which have many hundreds of lenses. Reproduction, we see sexual reproduction with internal and external fertilization, and it depends on the species. So the evolution of arthropods, as arthropods have evolved, they've lost segments and their appendages have become more specialized. Specialized appendages lead to greater fitness, which means better survival, as feeding and movement become more efficient. Molting. Arthropods shed their former exoskeleton when they outgrow them, and a new exoskeleton is going to form in its place. So classification, arthropods are classified according to their segments and their appendages, usually their mouth parts. That's typically what we kind of use, the appendage that we use to classify them. There's three groups of arthropods. You have your crustaceans, spiders, and insects. Crustaceans they have two pairs of antennae, 2 or 3 segments, and their mouth parts are called mandibles. Spiders and also your scorpions are in the spiders group. Their mouth parts are like fangs. They have 2 sections and they have 4 pairs of legs. And then one of the largest groups is insects, and they have 1 pair of antennae and they have unbranched appendages. And we're going to talk more about insects now. So the body plan of insects is unique to this group. They have 3 body segments. They have the head, a thorax, and an abdomen, and they have 3 pairs of legs attached to the thorax. So insects can respond to stimuli. They have complex sensory organs that include chemical receptors. With feeding, they have 3 pair of appendages for mouth parts, including mandibles. Some produce saliva that digests food into more edible forms, like honey. And honey has complex carbs in it, so the saliva that some insects that produce begins to break honey down before it reaches their digestive system. Movement. Legs can be used for jumping or grabbing. Many insects fly, which has allowed them to populate almost every corner of the globe and at a very rapid rate. Metamorphosis. This is the process of changing form and shape in an insect's life. Okay, there's two different types of metamorphosis. Excuse me. You have complete and incomplete. Complete metamorphosis is the larvae are completely different from the adults. Most pupate in order to change into adult form. Incomplete metamorphosis, younger versions are called nymphs that make some changes into adulthood. Grasshoppers are a great example of insects that go through incomplete metamorphosis. Okay, complete metamorphosis, what you start with is completely different than what you end with. Incomplete, there's a lot of similarities, but there are some differences. So, are insects or can insects be beneficial to humans? Now, we typically view most insects as pests, as nuisance, and they can be destructive. And all those are true, but there are some beneficial insects. Okay? Insects play a very vital role in pollinating our ecosystem. Okay, like bees, moths, butterflies. There's actually a major push being done right now to repopulate the bee population because of pollination. Insect societies. So ants, bees, and termites form communities that are very complex. It's called a caste system, which has different levels of organization, like the worker groups, the drones, and the queen. Chemical and visual signals are essential to making these colonies work. So a they all have a way of communicating with each other. That is it for this presentation. Be sure you complete the video form that goes with this and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.